Welcome to the Commander's Journey, a journey for new Commander players ready to uncover their hidden magic potential.
Welcome back. I'm Joel.
And I'm Alex.
Today, we got another deck tech for you. And this one is a fun one. It's a double your pleasure, double your fun. We got Akroma and Sakashima.
Yes, this one, if you ever wanted to have two Akromas out instead of one, this is the only deck that really gives you that wonderfulness on two commanders.
Dude, having two Akromas sounds a lot better than having just one. She is a nasty, nasty angel.
Very exciting. And the fact that she will buff each other is kind of amazing.
So she's going to buff herself and the other one at the same time if Sakashima comes in as a copy of Akroma?
Yes. So specifically, I guess at this point we might as well read Akroma.
Yes. Can you read it or you want me to do it?
I'll take this one, Akroma. That's better than I thought it was going to be. Akroma, Vision of Ixidor, is 5 white and a white for a legendary creature angel. She has flying, first strike, vigilance, trample. At the beginning of each combat until end of turn, each other creature you control gets +1/+1 if it has flying, +1/+1 if it has first strike, and so on for double strike, death touch, haste, hexproof, indestructible, lifelink, menace, protection, reach, trample, vigilance, and partner. And she has partner herself, and she's a 6/6. So, if it just says each other creature you control gets this bonus, right? So if there's two instances of Akroma, one being Sakashima, one being Akroma, then all of a sudden they're buffing each other, right? So at the beginning of each combat, Akroma just flat out on its own will get an additional +5/+5 because she has both flying, first strike, vigilance, trample, and partner. So she'll become an 11/11 at the start of combat, which is pretty amazing, especially when you're accounting for commander damage, which is generally how this deck wants to win.
And so you partnered her with Sakashima of 1,000 Faces. I'm going to read him or her. I don't even know if it's a him, right?
It's a him, yes.
It looks like a him. It's a 3 and a blue for a legendary creature, human rogue. You may have Sakashima of 1,000 Faces enter the battlefield as a copy of another creature you control, except it has Sakashima of 1,000 Faces' other abilities. The legend rule doesn't apply to permanents you control, and it has partner. It's a 3/1. So you have this in this deck come in as a copy of Akroma most of the time, right?
Exactly. And what I've generally found sometimes is, depending on how the game's going, this has quite a large ramp package with it. Sometimes you'll get Sakashima out ahead of Akroma just because of how the gameplay is going and how the curve is ending up. So you can often just Sakashima something into play as a copy of another creature I happen to have in the deck, or you happen to have, and then from there, you know, if Sakashima gets killed, something happens, maybe you end up blinking Sakashima, which there's a couple instances and ways to do that in the deck. You know, you can have him then become a copy of Akroma in that scenario, but the ultimate goal is to have Akroma out and Sakashima become a copy of Akroma. That's
pretty nice. That is very nice. So let's get into it. We like to build these decks. I know you and I do, especially you, with a lot of synergy. So we like to get in each of these categories and just talk about some of the synergy. So, thinking of that, what is the game plan then? We kind of just spoke on it, right? Just doubling Akroma. Right.
It's pretty much that. What I generally found with this deck is pretty much if Akroma's able to live, which there's some ways to try to force her to stay in play, you're pretty much going to run away with the game, I found. I played a number of games, and there was a couple games where I got Akroma, I got Sakashima. All of a sudden you start wailing on your opponents, right? Mm-hmm. And you're pretty much killing them to commander damage left and right. And after I did that one time, the playgroup I was playing with became very wise. And the second Akroma came out, oh my God, did I get teamed up on. They were very, very against Akroma. So a heads up on that. You're pretty much going to go in with the synergistic commander damage. It's very satisfying with Akroma, but just keep in mind, especially if you're playing this deck a lot, you know, your teammates, or your teammates, your game group, your commander group might get a little wise to it, and you have to really start pointing a lot of your efforts to protect Akroma.
Yeah, and then if Sakashima is also Akroma, then they got to deal with it twice.
Exactly.
Nice. So let's get into our first category. Let's talk about best synergistic game plan cards. So let's start off with a winner right here. Spark Double, 3 and a blue for a creature illusion. You may have Spark Double enter the battlefield as a copy of a creature or planeswalker you control, except it enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it if it's a creature. It enters with an additional loyalty counter on it if it's a planeswalker, and it's legendary. If that it isn't a legendary, sorry. If that permanent is legendary, it says it's 0/0 on its stats, but it copies something on the battlefield.
So Spark Double is just a way to put an additional Chroma into play. This deck wants to have a bunch of Achromas. It's just nice. It's keyword soup. She really takes advantage of keyword soup, and it's powerful, to be honest. Akroma hits hard, and when Achroma's buffing itself, she's hitting for 11 damage. Each Akroma is hitting for 11 damage, and that's not assuming you don't have any other ways to add more keywords or extra equipment on her or anything like that. She gets pretty out of hand pretty quickly, and especially when commander damage is taken into place, all of a sudden all you need is to give her double strike and game over, right? That's it. That's commander damage. Instantly take it out, and having a third one, it really keeps the options open. It gets harder for them to directly remove each Akroma if you have 3 of them all of a sudden.
And if you got 3, you can swing one at each opponent simultaneously.
Exactly, and if you have double strike on her, that's it. Game over.
There you go. Get the win. Another really awesome synergistic game plan card you have here is Avin's Sunstriker. It's 1 white and a white for a creature bird warrior with flying and double strike. And it's got Megamorph, which is 4 and a white, and you can cast this card face down as a 2/2 for a 3, and then you can turn it face up for its Megamorph cost, and you put a 1/1 counter on it. It comes in as a 1/1.
So what's nice about Aven Sunstriker specifically, it's a good example of kind of the keyword soup. So the Megamorph isn't nearly as relevant in this deck as it is in most other decks. The main thing we're looking for is the flying and the double strike. So when Achroma's out and you have Aven Sunstriker, it's nice. It's an early creature. You can get out early. You get an extra blocker. It might dissuade some blocks because of double strike. If you have to Megamorph it, it'll help that out as well. Not a big problem, right? But if Achroma's out and Aven Sunstriker's out, all of a sudden, when Achroma's in play, it's going to get +2/+2, right? Because it has both flying and double strike, at which point it's a 3/3, and then with 3/3 double strikers hitting as a 6/6. So for very little effort, just having your commander out, you have a 6/6. It's a little scary. Again, it's just one of those ways that get a little keyword soup. A small 3-drop can really add a lot of value to the deck.
It's very nice, very nice. Another card as part of your game plan cards is Archetype of Imagination. It's 4 blue and a blue for an enchantment creature, human wizard, and it says creatures you control have flying. Creatures your opponents control lose flying and can't have or gain flying, and it's a 3/2.
Yeah, Archetype of Imagination is great. So most things in the deck are flying base. It's white, it's blue. We're going to have a lot of flyers, but some don't, so this does buff it. But the main thing I really like about this card is that it makes your opponents lose flying, which pretty much allows Akroma to swing in for free. And so they pretty much have to deal with Archetype of Imagination before they should really be dealing with anything else. It really puts a target on it, but it's nice because it's not a target against Akroma, as well as the fact is you're swinging in hard and fast. I had 2 different games where Archetypes of Imagination really kind of MVP'd on the other end. It really kind of felt like when Archetype came into play, those are the big turns that happened.
Well, because, I think not everybody, I think a lot of people put at least a flyer or 2 thinking about that there's some decks that just love flyers and you have to have ways of dealing with them. It just makes them lose. I guess the moral of the story is instead of putting flyers in your deck, put creatures with reach. You might have a better chance against
that would. And you don't see too much reach in our format, right? So this is really taking advantage of that.
There you go. So the next category we're going to talk about is your best synergistic ramp. And I know you have a decent ramp package in here because Akroma is expensive, and you do have some other big beefy flyers in here you want to get out. So 2 synergistic cards that fit in the ramp category. One is a great one. I just see this. You just got to put this card in every deck that doesn't have green. Just do it. It is Sword of the Animist. It's 2 generic for legendary artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1, and whenever equipped creature attacks, you may search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library, and its equipped cost is 2.
Yeah, so sort of advantage, you want to be attacking in this deck. Whenever you do, you get to search for basic lands. Everything the deck wants to be doing, pretty much. The ramp package in this deck is very intense, especially for a blue-white deck, because blue and white are known for ramp. They're known for board wipes or something of that nature. But so you have to kind of
board
compensate.
wipes. Yeah.
Exactly. It's not ramp. Even card draw, with blue is so much better. It's really, there's a lot of mono rocks in the deck. There's a lot of ways to ramp, but this is just such a synergistic one that really helps out the deck. Because if you're not getting your ramp out in this deck, you're kind of dead in the water.
Mm-hmm. And because earlier you kind of mentioned there's some ways to blink things, this next one is also synergistic. And this ramp card is Peregrine Drake. It's forward on blue for a creature Drake with flying. Look at that. It's a flying Drake.
Yep.
And when Peregrine Drake enters the battlefield, you untap up to 5 lands. It's a 2/3.
So this is another example. It's synergistic because it's flying, so you'll get the little boost. It'll become a 3/4. Not crazy relevant, but not bad either. The main thing is because it enters the battlefield up to 5 lands, there is a small blink package in this deck. It's not crazy. It's just a little bit, but you can really take advantage of these enter the battlefield ramp abilities using that. Now, when white gets better ramp options, maybe blue does too, we can probably take the out of the package. But as of right now, based on the ramp that currently exists for white and blue, I would leave it in. It's not always going to come up. Heck, you might get one little bit in the other, but it's not like it's ever bad. And what's nice about it is when it does go great, it really will ramp you really fast.
Very nice. Yeah, and we don't, in our decks, we don't put like the fetch lands, or we don't put a lot of the 0 expensive mana rocks like Mana Crypt in our decks, just because we can't afford those. Of course, if you added them, that would be great. But having these kinds of cards, like you said, in blue and white, are really good because they just help you kind of get ahead. And I know you have a bunch of other really good ramp cards in this deck too. There you go. So you need that. And then, of course, you need card draw. Card draw is great. So some of the best synergistic card draw spells in this deck. We're going to start off with Keeper of the Keys. It's 3 of blue and a blue for a creature, human, rogue, mutant. And when Keeper of the Keys enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if you're the monarch, creatures you control can't be blocked this turn. It's a 4/4.
Yeah, so Keeper of the Keys is a great example of you become the monarch, right? So you're going to get that card draw out of this. But on a side note, if you're the monarch, especially if you get to keep it on the go-around, which is a little easier to do with Akroma because she does have vigilance, you will make it so Akroma will be unblockable next turn, and that's what it's all about. You're swinging in, so often you'll take the monarch from your opponents, and then on the side note, it happens to make everything unblockable when you do and really rewards you for it. So it's really a win-win. A great way that card draw can be added into the strategy of being aggressive and really reward you for it.
And you at least get that one unblockable big swing in, even if you can't keep the monarchy. But like you said, man, you're gonna get that monarchy back a few times. So
yes, and just keep in mind too, you have to have it at the upkeep to make your creatures unblockable this turn. So unless you can instant out Keeper of the Keys on your upkeep, even then it has to be at the beginning. Yeah, you have to go around. But usually what ends up happening with Keep the Keys, you'll get it out, you'll get that card draw instantaneously because you just became the monarch, and then someone will take it from you, you'll take it on the go around, and then often if you gets to stick around, you'll from that point onwards you'll pretty much be unblockable.
Yeah.
As long as you're keeping on swinging in.
You need an additional upkeep step. But isn't that a Sphinx or something? I forgot
yes,
about that
there
card.
is actually.
Okay, next card that's really good synergistic card draw for this deck is a Wind Reader Sphinx. It's 5 of blue and a blue. This is a different Sphinx, but this is a good one. It's a creature Sphinx with flying, and whenever a creature with flying attacks, you may draw a card. It's a 3/7.
Yes, so this is an example of a big, beefy creature that will get buffed in when, with Akroma. But the main thing is whenever a creature with flying attacks, you may draw a card. So all of a sudden, Akroma swinging in, your other Akroma swinging in, maybe your third Akroma swinging in, and you happen to have a Wind Reader Sphinx out. All of a sudden, you're drawing, in that scenario, 4 cards on that attack, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of those ones that it's expensive. It definitely is not a cheap creature to play, but the deck is built to ramp. You know, and then at that point, you'll get a lot of card draw. It'll reward you for attacking with Akroma. A lot of this deck wants to reward you for having Akroma out, and this is a good example of it.
Here's a question for clarification. So if you have, say, 2 or 3 Akromas, because Sakashima and maybe Spark Double, would you get buffed 3 times then with that? Would that buff trigger happen?
You mean...
Because I know the first Akroma...
With Akroma?
Yeah, so like when we were Sphinx, the first Akroma says when you got flying, you get pumped +1/+1, right?
Yes.
Would the second one then also do that? And the third one? So this one...
Yes. So this one would get +3/+3.
It'd be a 6/10.
If you happen to have 3 out. Yes, it would be a 6/10 in that scenario, just to swing in. But what's even better, Joel, if you happen to have 3 Akromas out, each of your Akromas is buffing each other Akroma for +5/+5, at which point each Akroma is an 11/11. So if you have 3 Akromas out, everything's getting +10/+10.
33 power on the board. Wow.
If you get 3 Akromas out and you get to swing in, you probably are going to win that game. Not guaranteed, but probably.
But you know what? That's a really fair way to win, because if you can get 3 Akromas out there and they can stick around, I mean, somebody better remove it.
Well, that's what's kind of nice about the deck. It's a really satisfying deck to win with. You really feel, if you like the Akroma game, I like that she has that keyword soup on it, like it rewards you for it. It's a very satisfying deck to win with, to play with. And, you know, and it's one of those ones, I don't know too many times, I didn't feel like my opponents were sitting there going, man, this is unbeatable. It wasn't ever that. It was like, wow, I can't let Akroma hit me. I'm going to lose. So you'd have that conversation instead.
Of course. Well, there you go. There's some great card draw. The next category is single target removal, and you wrote in here there's none because you just got efficient. Wait, no, you have a bunch of removal. Just none of it's like real synergistic removal, right?
Specific wording on that was none, just efficient removal. None of it's synergistic. You know, I could look at removal suites and they're the mana is so key, and I really want to focus the mana on Akroma. I didn't bother with, specific types of removals that really matter. And what's nice about, especially being in white, you really have a nice removal package available to you. So this has stuff like swords in it, generous gift, counter spell. It has a lot of single target removal, and they're all just efficient, strong single target removal. It's just none of it's specifically synergistic. Yeah,
white and blue, you have no lack of removal. So there's tons of it. There you go. So the next category is our best synergistic board wipes. You need a few of those. And this one is cool. You got a bunch of these new ones in here, or some cards from the new set. So this one is Slash the Ranks. It's 3 white and white for a sorcery. It says destroy all creatures and planeswalkers except for commanders.
Yes, so what's kind of fun about this deck is there is a number of cards from the new set in there, so it's a great way to experience the new set. Slash the Ranks is a perfect one that really helps out the deck. The fact it destroys all, everything, all creatures and planeswalkers that aren't commanders, chances are you have 2 Akromas. You probably, with 2 Akromas, if you have them both out, have the strongest commanders currently in play. Not always, but most of the time.
Unless somebody's running like Kodama and Jessica kind of thing.
Well, it would be hard. I'm not saying, it's not possible. It's just chances are 2 Akromas is going to be more powerful than anything your opponent's doing, right? So at that point, you're probably in a good spot. Because even the Kodama Jessica scenario I just described, if they'd have to have more creatures out to block the Akroma. If you did both Akromas out, they have a Jessica and Kodama and a whole board of things. You slash the ranks, all of a sudden they just have that Kodama and Jessica. You're pretty much going to be able to, with Akroma, swing in on Jessica. The Kodama has to block. You have trample, so you're going to spill over, right? You're going to kill that Jessica, and if they want to also sacrifice their Kodama in the process, more power to them, right? You're in a really good spot if you get both Akromas out and slash the ranks. At that point, you're pretty much Cyclonic Rift.
Yeah, because a lot of commanders rely on, like you said, having other pieces out on the board to kind of synergize with and work. But with Akroma, it really wants, it's a powerhouse by itself. So unless you're playing against another really big powerhouse kind of commander, Yeah, you're doing a bunch of damage.
Exactly, and that's the only scenario. And in theory, having 2 Akromas will almost always overpower any other commander, even if individually that commander might be stronger. Having 2 Akromas versus just the one should be, most of the time. Again, like I'd say, like 95% of the time, be the way you want to go.
Unless you're playing against like a Thrasios and Kaidel type of thing, or.
I mean, if they have other solutions to abuse it, what are you going to do? But again, most of the time, this is going to be a Cyclonic Rift-esque effect.
Another really good board wipe you have here is Austerity Command. 4 white and white for a sorcery. You choose 2. Destroy all artifacts. Destroy all enchantments. Destroy all creatures with converted mana cost 3 or less. Destroy all creatures with converted mana cost 4 or greater.
So I love an Austere Command. So happy with the reprint of the set. I grabbed a whole bunch. It's the cheapest I've ever seen it. And I thought last time they reprinted it was the cheapest we were going to see it. I saw it cheaper. I jumped on it. Have a bunch of them ready to go for the future because it's such a flexible board wipe. And it's barely more expensive than your average board wipe too. I mean, really, you can hit whatever you want. And in this scenario, you could hit everything that's low to the ground, keep your big stuff back, right? And then maybe get rid of all their artifacts and enchantments while you're at it,
Yeah, you pick and choose your board wipe, right? And especially since you got a lot of big things out, you could just do that, all those that cost 3 or less and artifacts, and then just deal with another person if you have to. So I love it.
And exactly. If someone somehow gets on a quicker, stronger start than you can just make it, a board wipe that's just a little more expensive. It's really flexibility is key, and I love Austere Command for that.
Beautiful, beautiful. So the next category we're going to talk about is best synergistic recursion and protection spells. So we always like to add a little recursion and protection to our decks. First one here is a classic. Actually, both of these first 2 are all 3 are classics. There we go. I'm looking ahead. But these first 2, we'll start with Swiftfoot Boots. It's 2 generic for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature has hexproof and haste, and you can equip it for 1.
Yeah.
And the next one, should I just read that too? It's
like go for it.
It's the same card almost, very similar. It's Lightning Greaves. It's 2 artifact equipment. Equipped creature has haste and shroud, and you equip it for 0.
Yeah, so here we go. We got Swiftfoot, we got Lightning Greaves. They're both fantastic in the deck. We need to protect Akroma. What's nice about Greaves is it's the equip cost 0. The haste is really critical in this deck, where most decks it's kind of like an add-on.
Yep.
Swinging with that Akroma, that first turn is key, and this helps get them her there to do that. And then what's nice is, even though it's the Lightning Greaves, you can instantly equip it. You can be a little more on curve when you have Lightning Greaves out. What's nice about Swiftfoot as well is you can also get the bonus from having both Hexproof and Haste. So you'll get an extra +2/+2 with Akroma versus Lightning Greaves just giving you an extra +1/+1.
It's very nice. And yeah, like you said, you're spending so much to get Akroma out. It's nice to be able to attack with her right away, not have to wait a turn. Get that damage going.
That surprise damage.
Another great recursion spell that is synergistic here is Sun Titan. For 4, a white and a white, talk about another big beater. It's a creature giant with vigilance. And whenever Sun Titan enters the battlefield or attacks, you may return target permanent card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. And it's a 6/6.
So Sun Titan 2 is a perfect example of it's a big creature swinging in big, and you get all these extra bonuses, whether you're blinking Sun Titan or you're just getting the swings in, it's rewarding you for that. The deck doesn't have a whole lot of cost 3 or less, but lands are a thing. If they're destroying your artifacts, there are a number of artifacts that are cheap, and you need those rocks in the deck.
Yeah, especially the artifacts. To be able to get them back is nice.
And that's really the key. Well, there's a lot of targets you can hit. There's a lot of targets this deck doesn't. You don't want to lose your rocks. You don't want to lose your ramp. You want to keep those in play, and Sun Titan just helps facilitate that.
Yeah, or if they zap your Lightning Greaves so that they can zap your commander, you can with Sun Titan get your Lightning Greaves back.
Exactly. Yeah. It's really there to help protect everything, keep the deck flowing.
Awesome. So we also have an alternate win con here. Of course, your win con mainly is take your big, huge Akroma angel and just smack somebody in the face. But our alt win con looks like you got another angel here. Angel of Destiny, that is. Another newer card from Zendikar Rising. It's 3 white and a white for a creature angel cleric. It's got flying and double strike. And whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you and that player each gain that much life. At the beginning of your end step, if you have at least 15 life more than your starting life total, each player Angel of Destiny attack this turn loses the game, and it's a 2/6.
So Angel of Destiny is a fantastic card. It's an awesome alt win condition if you need it. Just keep in mind it's a little bit of a double-edged sword here, right? Mm-hmm. So in theory, you can have huge play when you get out Angel of Destiny. You pretty much take out a player instantaneously. If you have Akroma out and Angel of Destiny out, I think you gain 14 life that turn alone. If I remember it, yes, because you got to remember you're healing both from Angel of Destiny and Akroma with the boost. So I believe Angel of Destiny, it becomes an 8/8, and Akroma will just by itself. This isn't even double Chroma. If you have double Chroma, you'll definitely get there. But single Chroma, I believe, will just be 6. So you end up with 14. You're one hair short. But if you happen to have a Swiftfoot Boots or Lightning Greaves or anything like that, you'll get in and get that 15 instantaneously. So the turn Angel of Destiny comes into play, potentially you can instantly take out somebody, which is fantastic. The main thing you just got to keep in mind is that every attack you do is going to heal your opponent while Angel of Destiny's out. So it's a little bit of a double-edged sword. Make sure you're in a position where she's actually useful to be out versus a game where, it's not the game where Angel of Destiny is going to really matter. Maybe, hold it up in your hand or windfall later, something like that.
Yeah, I think if you have a decent life total, like you're close to 30, I would say, you haven't gone down, like drooped down below 20, it's probably nice you see this in your hand because you're like, hey man, a few hits, and I can potentially win this game. Because once you got 15 more life,
you can be down from this really significant number with Angel of Destiny and play it. If you have a Swiftfoot Boots out, as we said, you equip an Angel of Destiny, you're swinging in, maybe you have both the Chromas out. That turn alone, you will heal. Let me quickly do the math. It'd be 22 from both the Chromas, and then you would heal off of Angel of Destiny. It would become a 4/4. It would become a 6/6, and with double strike, it would hit for 12. So in theory, that opening turn, you can be down. As you can get 34 life that opening swing with Angel of Destiny. Nice. So you could pretty much instantly take out somebody, even from a significant life difference. At that scenario, you might want to make sure though you can hit that life total that you can do, because otherwise it'll hurt you.
Yeah, and you can use this as like a little bit of a political piece too, right? If you have in your hand.
Very much so.
Like somebody's really low and you want them to kind of become your ally. Just be like, hey, I'm gonna bring this in and I'm gonna have you and me gain some life, and you can use this in that way too. If you can't use it as a win con for whatever reason because you can't get enough life, you can use it like that. And then don't be afraid to use your own removal on your Angel of Destiny if you got to also then get in the next turn with some damage.
Yes, exactly. So again, it's a double-edged sword. Just really keep that in mind. But you can easily steal out a lot of surprising wins really aggressively, really fast with Angel of Destiny.
Very nice. All right. So we also like to, after we talk about a lot of the synergies of the deck, we like to mention and talk about some of the weaknesses. So right here you talked about how it's really reliant on ramp.
Yes. So again, it's because of how blue and white are in Magic. There's a lot of ways that I'm trying to work around when I was building the deck to make sure that you had very good consistent ramp. And a lot of that's mono rocks. A lot of that is, more, I want to say, niche ways, a little more creative ways to ramp with the deck. But you're really reliant on it in scenarios, which I could imagine coming together where your opponent sees it and stops it early with a good counter spell, or maybe just for some reason the ramp package doesn't come together, which I don't think is likely, but probably would happen after enough games. Those games, you're not going to be able to get the game plan going. You're going to have a harder time with it. I think in total there's 17 pieces of ramp, at least, something like that, between rocks and ramp spells and, ways to abuse them. So the deck isn't likely for it to happen. But again, if someone aims at it, your opponents, see it early and stop it, you're going to have a hard game.
Yeah, it's never easy when your commander comes down and just keeps getting removed. Makes it a very hard game, especially an expensive commander like Akroma. Lots of CMC to get him out. So, anyways, we'll also talk about some of the upgrades. I think we'll try and keep all these at the 250 mark ish. This might be a touch over, but
this is over.
It was lower before. The prices
was lower.
Have shifted.
I had got it just under 250 when we built it. That was a little over a week ago since we're recording. It'll probably be an additional week, I think, since we released it. So at
That's
this
why we
point,
say ish, right? Ish.
Yeah, exactly. It might be ish closer to 300 because things are slowly climbing. But when I built it, it was under 250. It's not the case anymore. But yeah, it's in that range, 250 to 300. Yeah. So it's a little more expensive. And if you have some things already, this will really lower down the price. Heck, if you find any creatures that you're like, I don't need that as much as when I built the deck, some other good keyword soupy creatures, feel free to throw that in. Even when I built the deck, there was a lot of just pick and choosing certain ones. If you happen to own something that's a little more keyword soup heavy, feel free to throw it in because this deck can really work with a lot of things around it.
Yeah, and that's how I like to do a lot of times. Like I'll look around online for deck ideas as far as what people are doing, but I don't like to take necessarily like card for card. I like to take what I have in my collection already, utilize a lot of that, and then see what other people are using and say, hey, I really like those ones, and slap them together. But kind of keeping this game plan going, like you said, you have a lot of a ramp in here, and then, of course, good card draw. But if you wanted to make some easy upgrades and you had a little extra cash, or you have these cards in your collection, you can always add all the swords, right?
Yeah. So you can add all the swords, right? And that would really help out the deck. Cyclonic Rift, there's a number one. Ristic Study is a clean upgrade, in the deck. There's a lot of just good blue, things that are even Consecrated Sphinx, right? There's a lot of really good ways in blue that you can take advantage of the situation with it. I even added some which I normally would put in easy upgrades, such as Hull Breacher and Smothering Tithe in the actual deck itself, just because I thought she needed it so badly. But again, especially with the card draw stuff, there's a lot of great stuff in blue that just are a little over budget than I intended, that you could do easy upgrades to add in.
Yeah, you have some accidental major plays in there when you got Hull Breacher and Smothering Tithe already in the deck, and you also have a Windfall in there. So
we talked about that. Oh god.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Smothering Tithe, Windfall, Hull Breacher just seems so scary to me.
It's nasty. It's really nasty. Well, anyways, there you go. Obviously, if there are cards in your collection you already have or ways you want to upgrade, if you got a really big bank account, there's always a bunch of cards, especially in blue, that are very expensive you can buy to put in. But this one is a little bit more friendly budget. Really fun deck, really powerful deck. You had fun with it. I have yet to play it. Maybe I'll play yours one of these days here soon.
Yeah, again, it's a fun deck. It's definitely, it's a beater, all right.
It's a beater. There you go. So double your Akroma, double your fun. This is a deck tech. Our first of the partner deck tech. So we got a few more we might want to do here soon. So anyways, guys, we really appreciate you listening. If you've listened all the way to this point, be sure to just give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you have. We really appreciate that. It keeps us motivated to keep making more of these. And we appreciate your time, guys.
Exactly. And for those of you who are, feeling a little extra generous, or maybe just want to buy some of these amazing cards from Commander Legends, or maybe the deck itself, we would really appreciate if you use our TCG Player affiliate link. We're a small channel. Every little bit really helps us out. And again, if you really enjoyed our content, we would really appreciate that.
There you go. All right, guys. Until next time.
See ya.